Greetings for the day. Dear friends, colleagues, we are once again here to deliberate and discuss on one of the most important topic, that is ESG, environment, social and governance, under which BRSR report we are going to deliberate, that is business responsibility sustainability report. And today in this video we are going to see the waste generation intensity or the reduction under the principle number 6 of BRSR report. Now let us review principle number 6 of BRSR report. So principle number 6 says respect and make efforts to protect and restore the environment, in which implement drives for reduction in energy intensity with respect to previous financial year, implement drives for reduction in water intensity with respect to previous financial year, implement drives for reduction in scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gases emission intensity with respect to previous financial, and implement drives for reduction in waste generation intensity with respect to previous financial year. So the highlighted this topic is waste generation intensity we are going to see in today's video. Now under principle 6, the waste generation has been categorized under the essential indicators. So under essential indicators, it has said that provide details related to waste management by the entity in the following format. So they have already given a format for declaration of waste management. So in this you can see a tabular form, a parameter is given, and which in a column various hazardous waste as well as non-hazardous waste we have to declare. So here we have to declare for the financial year, current financial year and previous financial year. So the quantity to be reported should be in the metric tons. That is to be remembered, because it cannot be measured in kgs. Even if you measure in kgs, you have to ultimately convert into metric tons. So the first is the plastic waste. So whatever the plastic waste has been generated at the site final for the disposal, so that has to be captured in metric tons and has to be reported for the both the years. Then second is e-waste, that is electronic waste. So whatever the electronic waste is being generated at the site has to be repeated again for the both financial year. Then biomedical waste. So many pharmaceutical industry do generate the biomedical waste, or other also industries. So that has to be also declared for both the years. Then comes the construction and demolition waste. This is something new which we have not yet captured. So under the construction and demolition waste management and handling rules, so we have to declare whatever the civil debris we have disposed, you have to report for the both the years. Then the battery waste, under the battery waste management handling rules, for both the years you have to report in metric tons. Then radioactive waste, this is very rare, but if at all that industry is generating the radioactive waste, you have to report it for both the years. Then other waste, please specify if any. Apart from the above waste, whatever we have seen, if the industry is generating, particularly if we see the pharma industry, particularly 28 as per hazardous waste management handling rules. So under the section of 28 schedule, so whatever the categories are there, so we have to report it for both the years. Then comes other non-hazardous waste generated, please specify. So there are non-hazardous waste like clean MS drums, clean HDP drums, glass. So that has to be also paper waste. It has to be reported for both the years. Then comes other is the for each category of waste generated, total waste recovered through recycling, reusing or other recovery operation has to be reported in metric tons. So they have given the categories recycled. You have to report if at all you have recycled any of the raw materials or finished products or intermediates. So or the waste generated finally. Ultimately it is converted into waste. So when waste is recycled, it has to be declared for both the years. Then reused, if that is used in the process, then you have to report for both the years. And other recovery operations, if at all from the above are there, you have to report. Like for example, distillation of solvent are being distilled and recycled and reused there, so that are under capture and recovery operations. Then comes for each category of waste generated, total waste disposed by nature of disposal should be in metric tons. So we know the ultimately the waste is disposed either through incineration or landfill or other disposal methods with previous treatment. So if you are disposing of the waste through incineration, then for both the years whatever you have disposed has to be captured and measured in metric tons. Then if you are disposing the waste through landfill, then also you have to report it for both the years. And other disposal operation, if at all adopted and approved by the relevant pollution control board, so that also has to be reported. So final comes the summation of all three above methods, and you have to sum it. So this is with respect to the essential indicators as per the BRSR format principle number 6. Then they, under the leadership indicators, they have given if the entity has undertaken any specific initiative or used innovative technology or solutions to improve resource efficiency or reduce impact due to emission, effluent discharge, waste generated, please provide details of same as well as outcome of such initiative as per the following format. The format we will discuss at the end of this slide. But individually the waste which we have discussed, we will see how initiative can be taken or how the waste has to be handled. So first is the plastic waste. So plastic waste should be handled through EPR, that is extended producer responsibility. So if the company is not yet registered under the EPR, so it has to be registered under EPR if at all it comes under the purview of that plastic waste management handling rules. Then comes adhering to plastic waste management rules. Just now I have mentioned you have to adhere whatever the bylaws are mentioned in the plastic waste management 100 rules. So you have to once through go to detail to the plastic management rules and you to see whatever is applicable you and how to adhere to it. Then other measures to salvage plastic waste apart from EPR, the plastic waste generated can be disposed through approved pollution control board vendor. See, in your pollution control board issued consent or license, there are various options given, or they have instructions given. Either you can salvage the waste to an approved vendor or through EPR. So you have to adhere to whatever the condition has been mentioned. Then minimize dependency on plastic waste. This is one of the most under the sustainable development. So dependency has to be you reduced. If at all presently you are consuming maybe 20 metric tons per year of plastic waste, you have to see the target that how you can reduce next year to 25%, again then 50%. So you in coming 4 to 5 years you have to see that how can you reduce, and there are companies which are reducing the dependency and going to other packaging material. Then monitor the receipt of plastic waste at site. This is very important. How do you have to have an action plan, environment management plan. So first of all, you have to know how much plastic waste has been received in that particular current year or financial year. Once you know how much is received, then you will come to know what is the inventory and how you are going to salvage step by step. Then monitor department wise plastic waste management. Then again you can, once you know how much is received, you can bifurcate it with the various departments are consuming the plastic, and accordingly you can see the how the dependency department wise you can minimize. Then have standard operating procedure for receipt, handling and disposal of the waste. This is very important. Once and unless and until you have a SOP wherein at each stage from the receiver to the handler to the final disposer, how the system works or how at various stages is handled, it should be have a standard operating procedure. Then only you will successfully handle the plastic waste. Then comes the e-waste. Here also you should have first the standard operating procedure for again receipt, handling and disposal of the e-waste. Without it SOP, no, you cannot expect whatever cooperations you want from the different department. Once you have a SOP, you endorse it and you implement your QMS system, or you are from plant head, then you will have a ratification and everybody will cooperate. Otherwise, frankly speaking, it will be very difficult to handle by the EHS department. Then disposal of e-waste through approved pollution control board vendor. You have to dispose this accumulated e-waste only through the approved pollution control board vendor. You cannot dispose it other than the pollution approved pollution. Then come the biomedical waste. Some of the industries are generating the biomedical waste. It may be from the occupational health center, or maybe from the microbial lab, or maybe other industries where clinical trials are taking place. So whatever the biomedical waste is being generated, you have to adhere to biomedical waste management handling rules. Please go through these biowaste management handling rules and see what is applicable to you and how to then implement the systems of disposal. The biomedical waste generated should be disposed through approved pollution control board. Again, they have a centralized facility approved by the relevant pollution control board. You have to take the membership for that, and only after taking membership you have to dispose through the that approved vendor, who ultimately will dispose through that approved biomedical waste facility. Then comes the battery waste. Here also you have to have a standard operating procedure again for the receipt, handling and disposal of the battery waste. So once again I have said, you please have an SOP and have a consensus on the consensus on that SOP, so that you can get the relevant cooperation for other department. The disposal of battery waste through approved pollution control board vendor. Then again you cannot dispose it in any of the way. There is other methodology that is called buyback. So buyback also has also undergone through the pollution control board approved vendor or CPCB vendor. So adhere to that rules regulation. Other non-hazardous waste, like we have spoken in the initial, clean drums like MS drums, HDP drums, carboys, or glass, paper, this should be also disposed through approved pollution control board vendor only, and not to any other vendors, and it should be accounted. Then MS and SS scrap disposal also to be through the approved pollution control board vendor. Then comes the hazardous waste. Here you have to particularly adhere to hazardous waste management handling rules. Whatever has been mentioned in your the consent to operate, you have to adhere, and accordingly you have to handle it. And again here also you have a standard operating procedure for receipt, handling and again disposal of the hazardous waste. Then area and location room with lock and key arrangement. So where are you going to store this hazardous waste received from the manufacturing plants? So whatever the solid waste has been received, it should be accounted, well accounted. There should be a documentation procedure right from the receipt to the storage to keeping in lock and key to the disposal as per the consent to operate. Then labeling to all hazardous waste containers. Whatever the waste has been accumulated in the a dedicated room, all the waste should have a label as per the hazardous waste management handling rules. Then records for receipt and disposal of hazardous waste material. So pollution control board has given the particular formats. So in that format you have to keep the records of all the hazardous waste. Now, minimization of hazardous waste. We will speak here how to minimize the hazardous waste. So, majority of the solid waste is generated from ETP sludge. So, ETP sludge was generated is through different dewatering system. So, what you have to do is you have to minimize the moisture content by using dewatering system like belt press, volute. Then you have centrifugal force like alpha level decanter. So nowadays people are moving towards press and volute, because the ultimate moisture content are very less, and hence it will reduce here ultimately quantity of the waste generated and also the disposal cost. Then again further you can reduce the volume by reduction in moisture by installing dryers after dewatering system. So output of this press, volute or decanter can be again reduced by installing through the dryers. So ultimately it will reduce the load on your final disposal. Then residues and rejects from the manufacturing, this you can, the solid waste, particularly the pharma waste and having high calorific value, you can dispose it through cogeneration, but you should have this cogeneration disposal route in your pollution control board consent to operate. So people are now going to cogeneration, so it is nature friendly. Then waste oil. So disposal through pollution control approved recycler only. The whatever the waste oil is generated from the engineering or other operations like engineering operations. So it has to be collected again, labeled, properly collected in drums, carboys, and again it has to be disposed to approved recycler. Then disposal of hazardous waste through incineration and landfill. So only the waste having low calorific values to have be disposed to landfill, and high calorific value waste has to be disposed to incineration at cogeneration facility. And ultimately, as per BRSR report, they have given this format, and in this format you have to declare whatever the initiatives you have taken to reduce the volume of the waste generation as compared to the previous year, and benefits to the final environment you have to mention. So detail of initiative, if any, may be provided along with a summary, and final outcome of the initiative has to be given in quantification. Maybe last year you have received around 100 metric ton of waste, and this year you have reduced by incorporating above methods to 80 metric tons. So you have again 20 metric tons of waste reduction. So you can mention here we have reduced 20% of waste reduction as compared to previous financial year. So this is expected. Whatever the technology you have adopted, like you have shifted from decanter to press volute, you have installed the dryers, or you have started sending to cogeneration. So all you have to mention here, and ultimately how much it has benefit in reducing the CO2 emissions you can mention here. So this is all with respect to the hazardous waste intensity or waste reductions. So thank you once again friends for watching my video. Keep on watching my video and subscribe my channel. Thank you once again for watching my video.